these are his shoulders, these are his arms. Again, if you want to say hello in the comments, feel free to. If you're watching, later, you can still comment and tell me that you're there, because I do see the comments later on. So, and it's always nice to know that people have watched it and enjoying it. Just as someone putting it out there, it's always nice to know that the content you produce is appreciated. So thank you for watching. This will also be edited into a nice little video to go onto YouTube. So I hope you guys, if you're watching on YouTube later on, welcome to Clayton Art Club. So I run a lot of face-to-face sessions, like workshops. At the moment we're doing a lot of woodwork and some special effects, but I like to do these weekly live streams, partly to improve my drawing, but partly to engage with guys that can't obviously come to some of my sessions, whether they're at school, because I do primarily home education workshops. Let me just zoom out of that. There we go. So I'm going to jump onto my brush pen now, start dishing out some ink, trying not to press too lightly, and I'm going to use a finer pen just because this is quite a fine little drawing actually, so I'm just going to use this fine tipped pen instead. Yeah, so I'm going to start off. I'm actually going to grab a lighter shade of grey as well. But yeah, feel free to say hello in the comments if you're watching. I can see someone's watching now. It's not telling me who it is, but that's cool. I'm just drawing this one as a warm-up, so if you'd like me to draw something different in a minute, then that's fine. But yeah, I'm just drawing something that I think is cool. So I'm going to start by just, this is quite a light grey. Oh, actually, what I wanted to do, and you don't have to do this, because I've gone over in ink pen, I can just rub off the pencil markings, because I don't need them, because I'm going to be adding my own shade, not using a pencil. And I'm brushing all in the same direction, off the paper and away. Obviously, if you've got ink on your fingers, then you can end up unintentionally drawing on. So I'm drawing on this kind of drawing board. So it's, I'll just show you a minute. It's got a clip on one side, and that holds the paper in place, and then the ruler holds the paper in place. It's designed for A3 paper, but I'm using it for A4, which is this size, and I've moved it and stuff. So anyway, but yeah, as you can see, we're drawing a fighty guy, a ninja. And we're just starting with a base tone of cool colours. So we're starting with a nice light grey over the top. And I'm using a flat edge at the moment, but I'll jump onto the brush. Now this is a really nice light grey. It's good for going over the top just to add little bits of shadow, but it kind of dries quite still dries quite light. Like I suspect these will kind of look the same colour in a moment. So I want a bit of shadow underneath his leg on those kind of places that are covered by himself a bit. And I'm going to jump onto the dark grey, and I really want to get those bits underneath his body really nice and dark. So the fact that he's crouching over, if the sun's coming from this direction or this direction, regardless, the under of his body would be in shadow, like more so than the rest. He is wearing dark clothes, as you'd expect, being a master of the night and a master of stealth. So yeah, if you wanted to put in the comments anything you'd like me to draw next, or you could maybe think about what this ninja guy might be fighting. He could be fighting a monster, he could be fighting another ninja, he could be fighting a samurai, or he could be fighting some kind of animal. So if you have any suggestions, put them in the comments. Feel free to say hello. Comment on what you think, if you think I've missed anything. Hello, Mr. Tickle. You want him fighting Mr. Tickle? That would be hilarious. Mr. Tickle with swords. That would be pretty incredible. So I'm just starting with grey at the moment. I'm going to add other colours in a minute, and I'm going to blend those greys. If you can see here, I'm just kind of going over the dark greys with the light grey and pulling it over. And I'm going to add some nice cool blue to it in a minute, just to make it really stand out. Mr. Tickle, what a genius suggestion. How are you guys doing today? You doing all right? And let's jump on to some colours. So I've got a purple here, which is like, so I'm going to go around the edge. This is coming off really dark, so I'm going to use it to make some bits look quite smooth. And that'll go really well with the kind of light blue, if that makes sense. And the dark green, which I'm going to add in a minute. That's just to catch the shadow. Kind of quite happy with that. I'm going to add some light blue. Just smudge that in. It's also working with the grey that's underneath. Might have to go back over the top in the grey in a minute, but we'll try some darker blue. I think a darker blue would be good. Just in those in-between areas. Make it look really stealthy. I'm going to jump back onto this blue and just thinking about Mr. Tickle, what he's going to do. This guy could be fighting all of the Mr. Men. That'd be quite funny. Right, put those pens away now and just grab something different. So I want to add a little bit of and my old friend Mr. White Pen, because and I'm just dabbing that white pen just to soften it. That way I can add kind of direct white onto it, lighten areas, make it look like he's really catching the light. What do you think of this? Do you think it looks good? Oh, it looks good. Oh, thank you. You've already answered my question. I'm just adding a bit more white here and there just to try and show that he's reflecting some light. And I'm going to do some grey with the sword. What I want it to do is look like it's catching the sun, so I'm just going to do some kind of lines on the sword. And then grab some darker. And I'm just going to add a little tassel-y red thing on the end, because I don't know, I just think a tiny smidge of red where everything's blue kind of looks cool. Just going to add some texture to that sword and make it look a bit more strong. And I'm going to add a bit of white to make it look like it's got a bit of an edge. And then last, I'm going to get quite a lightish grey, and just underneath around his fingers, just add a bit of shadow. A sword, okay. This is in pencil, so I don't actually have to worry about it, because this is my construction lines. I do have a rubber as well, so I don't know why I'm being careful. Start with that nice egg shape. And I want to add a bit of movement to them, so it looks like, because his arms are so crazy, I think he's I think it needs to look like he's spinning his arms around like General Grievous from Star Wars, you know, like kind of crazy. Oh, that's the gist anyway. So I'm going to start by going around. It's a cartoon visualized tickle fighting a ninja. Yeah, perfect. I kind of want to colour him as much as I can. Misted Ninja would be real. He could be called Mr. Swordy, and he just has loads of swords. Right, let's get me orange. I'm going to do a couple of shades of orange. Right, so I've got a melon yellow, I've got a marigold, and I've got orange. Mr. Swordy's secret identity will be Mr. Tickle, of course. So, deciding where the light is, I'm going to draw that section in first. So, I'm going to draw that in. Just filling in some of the lighter patches. I kind of want him to look kind of round, so I'm just going to draw these lighter patches. Then around that, I'm going to do this darker, colour. I'm trying to keep the curve to it just so that it looks like can't say that I've drawn Mr. Tickle properly before. I mean, I know of him, like, I had him as a kid. Used to read the books. Right, let's get the proper orange in. I'm probably going to come back with that yellow over the top, just to neaten things out. What I might do is just blend in a bit more. And then I'll come back over with those light ones in a minute, because I do kind of want him to be one kind of colour as much as possible. I'm trying to be neat with these pens, but also not too slow. Like if you get and jump back onto these just around the edge. It's quite cool seeing the yellow pop back in. So it's looking quite muddy at the moment, but that's okay. Now, I think he's just going to have black eyes because it's kind of what he has. And I've completely forgotten what colour hat Mr. Tickle has. What colour hat does he have? Mr. Tickle, reveal your hat style. Oh, he's got a blue hat. That's cool. Right, let's get some light blue in there. So I think Mr. Swordy's swords are going to be a bit more yellow. Clearly Mr. Tickle wants a new name. He's fed up of being trying to find a warm grey. There we go, warm grey. And I'll make those look more golden in a moment. So I'm going to grab a darker grey, I think. I want a warm grey, if I've got one. I did have a warm grey. Anyway, let's just use one of these. And just ever so lightly add a bit of shade in a few places that I'm just doing those kind of bands, if you know what I mean, of colour or lack of colour. And I want to do some very light shade on the ground. And that shadow, I think, just adds a little bit of context to him. Oh, my voice is going all funny. I'm going to get a slightly darker grey, I think, and just... on the areas that just look a bit closer to the ground, and just smudge them in a bit. Again, just blend in that part. And I don't know, that orange just looks really mucky. Oh well, I'm still happy with that. I think I want to add a bit more white in this guy's face. I'm going to add a slight reflection of orange into the blade. Just a hint, just to show that just that he can see, I guess. And I want to go over with some white on this guy. Just going to go around the edge, I think. Just to give his body that kind of a little bit of reflection. Try and smudge that white into the just a little bit here as well. And I think as long as you don't put too much on, I think you can't go too far wrong. You can always add orange back in with these kind of things, but just a little bit of reflection on the hands, a little bit of line work here and there, just adds a little bit of oomph. So I want to add some to the sword. Going through that grey patch so that even just putting a little bit here and there just adds that tiny little bit of, it adds so much, but it just doesn't, you can't work out what it's done. But if you just add a little bit of white here and there, let's add some whooshing. So these little black streaks just convey a bit of motion, so you can just tuck a little bit, and it's kind of like that shimmer of, like almost an after image of the moving. I think that's a bit too much. So you just grab the white pen and just loosen them off. If nothing else, just turn it to a slight grey, break it down. And here as well, just break it down a bit. Just breaking down the boldness of it, scribbling over. Even adding some perfections into the ground. Notice that he's got a different colour shadow because he's a colder guy. And if you want to, is draw a horizon line. So I'm going to do this with my pencil. And I'm going to do it as light as possible. And then I'm going to get my finger and just smudge that in. Also places I didn't want to see it, so I didn't want to see it there. And even just going over it with the white pen as well breaks it up. So horizon line, even as subtle as that, can add quite a lot to your piece. So let's take it out and have a look. Oh look, all the scum is there. Let's just add that there. There we go. 10 out of 10. Wow, thank you. Yeah, so that's Mr. Tickle versus the Ninja. Who do you think would win? I don't know who my vote would be. I think Mr. Tickle would keep things interesting. Just want to rub that bit around his mouth. Blowing the dust away. Mr. Tickle versus... And add some little circles just to make him look a bit... There we go. Cool. And just, sorry, because I am me, kind of want to break up some of that purple, so I'm just putting some ink down and then almost immediately smudging it off. And that breaks down that kind of overload of purple that was there that you probably couldn't see, but anyway. Get a bit closer. Ninja versus Mr. Tickle. Right, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to call it a day on this live stream. Next week I'll be doing another live stream, and I don't know what I'll be doing, but it will be fun. Hopefully as fun as this one. This one's been really good. Thank you so much for your suggestions. Can't even speak. Thank you so much for your suggestions. It's been really fun. So thank you. And one last thing before I go, I'm going to add some eyes. So now he has